welcome to Breakout Session number 42. Today we're going to be diagnosing double drop D. We're going to take a deep dive and a different look at double drop D. Okay, and this is going to be fun. But before we get started, I want to say hi to all the members of the Guitar League out there around the country that might be watching today. And as I usually do, I'm going to ask you, if you haven't, if you'd please subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell so we can tell you when stuff is coming up there, and hit the like button. That all helps. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, and it's slowly creeping up. I appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about double drop D. I've been working on a tribute to Neil Young. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but and he uses double drop D in several songs. There's a lot of artists that use it, and it can be used in all kinds of genres, okay? So I'm going to do a little different kind of a look at it today, okay? Because it's, when you tune down to double drop D, it's like getting 3 different tunings in one. Okay, so first, let's get down to double drop D, and that's pretty simple. You just take your 2 E strings and drop them down to D. Whether you have a tuner or whether you tune to your existing D string, that's a whole other lesson. But just get into double drop D. It's not that difficult. Okay, so you have power chords. You have all the cage chords that you had in standard tuning, and then you have an open G tuning, all in this tuning. So what do I mean by that? Okay, well, the top 3 strings, the bass strings, that's a D, A, and a D, okay? So that's a root, a fifth, and an octave in D. So that's a power chord. So if you then fret those 3 notes, if you fretted here, it'd be an F, G, A, B flat, B, C, back to D. Those are power chords. And it gives you a real swampy kind of sound, I think. Okay, and then the middle 4 strings are still in standard tuning. So any of the chords that you could use in there, any of those shapes from the cage system, you can still use if you're just doing those 4 strings. So any of the scales that the root is on the A string, then you'd be able to do all of those scales too. Blues scales, it doesn't matter. You can do them all. It's just a matter of your thinking. Okay, you're in double drop D, but when you're playing in there, you're in standard tuning. So you just have to think standard tuning. And then the bottom 4 strings are actually an open G tuning. So you could play that with your fingers, or you can actually play a slide down there. Let's see. So you could actually play a slide with those 4 strings. Okay, so you can play a slide, or you can finger, or both. Okay, so it gives you a lot of options when you're playing in double drop D. Okay, so also then you have 3 strings that are tuned to D. So anything you can do on one D string, you can do on another D string. So you can do the scales, you know, on that string. Okay, on 3 different strings. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few chords and notes that you can play in double drop D. And it's pretty simple stuff. I'm not going to have charts and graphs down there because we're going to take shapes that you're familiar with and use those shapes. And we're not going to get too hung up on the names of them, okay? But let's say that you took a D, standard D chord, and you lift up your middle finger and just play those two strings that are left, those two fingers. That's like a D power chord, and you can play the whole chord. That's the beauty of drop D, double drop D. It's got a really rich sound. Now, if you added your pinky to the bottom E string, you now have a D minor. Okay? If you played like a D7 shape and lifted up your ring finger, you'd have close to a D7. We're not going to get hung up on the names here, but that's definitely in the D family. Okay? If you play an A chord from the A down, the standard A chord, that's an A. Okay, same with B. So all of the cage things that you use in the A-shaped chords, you can use those. All of the little triads, like this would be an F, right? If you're just playing those three notes. Okay? That would be an F. This would be a C if you play the middle four strings like a C. So you don't have to change your thinking too much here. Now on a G chord, you could play a G with just using the B right here, your finger on the second fret A string, which makes it a B. That's actually a G chord there. Or you can come up here because now the G is here on this string. So you could play a G like that, where you're playing a D note down here on the B string, and these two notes right here on the top two strings, 5th fret, that's a G. This would be a C, a D. So all your 7 chords, your C7, your D7, your E7, they don't change inside there. Okay? So a minor chord, like instead of playing an E minor like you normally would, you just come up to the top 2 strings. And that would be an E minor now. So you just take an E minor and move it up. Okay, so same with like a G minor. Instead of being down here, you're going to take these 2 fingers and put them on the top 2 strings. Okay, so G minor. If you took your pointer finger down on the 1st string, 3rd fret, and played that G, that's a G7. You can, so the chords like A minor don't change. You can play it from the 5th string down, A minor 7. Okay, so that gives you quite a few chords to play and play around with. Okay, so Neil, in a song like Cinnamon Girl, he's starting with cage-shaped chords to power chords. Playing just the regular chords, like a D to an A minor, to a C, to a G. Then there's a C in later, and there's a G minor and an A in that song. So it's pretty simple. And like in Ohio, he's playing with a D to an F to a C. And then there's a whole lot of other songs out there. So you've got enough chords now that you could mess around and play a lot of different songs. Like I said, you can use all the cage stuff. You can use scales just like you could before. Also, a lot of little embellishments that you can do. So you see, that's all the embellishments. You can hammer on and off that D. Those three notes, and these three. Anything on the 3rd to 5th fret works really good on the top 3 strings. So you can mess around with that. It sounds really good. This is something you got to experiment with, I think, is the beauty of this. Is just start playing some chords. And again, you can get a song, you know, a chord chart on a song and play it in double drop D and just see what it sounds like. Because if it's got a D chord, a C chord, a G chord, an F chord, you can play all of those. An A chord, you can play them with the double drop D tuning, but it gives it a whole different sound. And in a good scale that you can use in double drop D is a D Mixolydian scale. And you know, that's just a D scale with a flat 7 in it. But that can give it a real Celtic flavor to it. It's just fun to play around with this thing. I think you're gonna like it. Just tune down and start playing some chords and hitting some notes, or try to play a song, you know, the regular chord chart, only you play it in double drop D and see what it sounds like. You're gonna find out it's a lot of fun. And there's a million double drop D songs out there that you can look up and play and learn to play. But I just wanted to give you a kind of a different view of it today, and I hope you like that view. And we're going to see you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe. I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks. Y'all come back now, you hear?